Have you ever stopped to think about where our modern world really comes from? I mean, the code that runs your phone, the science behind the camera you use every day. Well, today we're going to trace it all back to a time and place you might not expect. We're diving into an incredible, often forgotten golden age of innovation that literally laid the groundwork for the world we live in now. It's an amazing story, so let's get into it. Okay, so to get us started, here's a quick question for you. Algebra and algorithm. You've heard these words a million times, right? Especially if you're into math or tech. They sound kind of similar, sure, but what's the real connection? Well, their origin story is the key to this whole explain. And there it is, the answer. Both of these essential words come to us from Arabic. Algebra comes from al-jabar, which means something like the rejoining of broken parts. It was actually part of the title of a revolutionary math textbook. And believe me, this is just the first clue that points us toward an era of just unbelievable intellectual achievement.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll set the scene in this forgotten golden age. Then, we're going to explore the language of numbers, the science of healing, how these brilliant minds started to decode the world around us, and finally, how they mapped and connected all these ideas in ways that would shape the world for centuries. So, let's transport ourselves to the heart of our story, Baghdad, and specifically to a legendary place called the Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. You have to understand, for centuries, this was one of the most important centers for learning on the entire planet. It was a magnet for the brightest minds from all over the known world who came to translate, study, and build on all the knowledge of past civilizations.
And just look at this timeline. What's so incredible is the sheer density of genius here. From the 8th all the way to the 12th centuries, you have this amazing overlapping chain of scholars. It's like an intellectual relay race. You can see how Al-Razi's work in the 9th century would then be picked up and built upon by someone like Ibn Sina in the 10th. They were passing the torch of knowledge from one generation to the next, creating this incredible momentum.
Okay, so let's jump into our first area of discovery, the language of numbers. And I want you to really get this. The mathematical ideas we're about to talk about didn't just stay in some dusty old texts. They are, and I mean this quite literally, the foundation of the digital world that we all live in today. Remember that first question I asked? Well, this is the man with the answers, Al-Khwarizmi. He was a Persian scholar at the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, and he's widely known today as the father of algebra. It was his work that gifted us not just one, but two of the most fundamental words in all of math and computer science.
I mean, his influence was just massive. He didn't just give us the systematic study of algebra with his book on algebra. He also championed the Indian numeral system, the numbers we all use today, and introduced the absolutely revolutionary concept of zero to the region. And get this, when his name was Latinized, it became Al-Khwarizmi, which is the direct root of the word algorithm. There's a straight line from 9th century Baghdad to the device you are watching this on right now. Okay, so from the abstract world of numbers, let's shift gears to something deeply human, the science of healing. The Islamic Golden Age saw these incredible, game-changing advances in medicine, really pushing it towards careful observation, detailed documentation, and systematic care.
Here we have two absolute titans of medicine. On the left, you've got Al-Razi, a master of clinical observation. He was the first to meticulously describe diseases like smallpox and measles, and he introduced the idea of a hospital ward to separate patients with infectious diseases. Just think how important that is. Then, on the right, you have Ibn Sina. His canon of medicine was this monumental encyclopedia of basically all known medical knowledge. It was so thorough that it became a standard textbook in European universities for more than 500 years. So we've done numbers, we've done medicine, but these scholars were also trying to figure out the fundamental rules of the physical world. Their work in fields like optics and chemistry literally changed how we see everything. So let's start with this guy, Ibn Haytham. He's known as the father of modern optics. See, for centuries, people thought we see things because our eyes shoot out some kind of invisible ray. Ibn Haytham completely challenged that, arguing, correctly, that we see because light enters our eyes from objects. This was a radical, revolutionary shift in thinking. He laid out all of his theories in this 7-volume masterpiece, the Book of Optics. In it, he systematically studied light, reflection, refraction, the whole shebang. But the principles he figured out weren't just theoretical. Oh no, they directly led to an invention that pretty much all of us use every single day.
Yep. The camera, Ibn Haytham's work on what's called the camera obscura, which just means dark chamber, and his understanding of how light forms an image were the absolute essential scientific principles for the invention of photography later on. So yeah, a book that's 1,000 years old is basically the great-great-grandfather of your smartphone camera. It's wild.
And the discoveries just kept on coming. You had Jabir ibn Hayyan, the father of chemistry, who was intensely practical. He developed methods for making steel, dyeing cloth, even waterproofing fabrics. Then there was this polymath, Al-Biruni. Centuries before Copernicus, he was suggesting that the Earth rotates on its own axis, and he even used fossil evidence to correctly figure out that the Indus Valley must have been an ancient sea. Incredible foresight.
Okay, so for our final section, let's look at how these scholars organized all this amazing new information. Because it wasn't just about discovering new things. It was about charting the world, connecting different ideas, and creating knowledge that would actually last. So meet Al-Idrisi, an absolute master geographer and mapmaker. He traveled all over the place and took all the knowledge from traders and explorers and combined it to create some of the most advanced, most accurate maps of the world that existed at the time. This quote really says it all. For 300 years, his maps were the gold standard. They were so good, nobody could improve on them. And explorers you've definitely heard of, like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama, they relied on his work to plan their own world-changing journeys. It just shows you how one person's meticulous work can literally shape the course of global history. And finally, we have Ibn Rushd. He built a different kind of map, a map of ideas. He translated and wrote these incredibly detailed commentaries on ancient Greek thinkers like Aristotle and Plato. In doing so, he reintroduced their work to Europe and built this amazing philosophical bridge, connecting their logic and reason with Islamic thought, and that deeply influenced European philosophy for generations to come. So, the next time you solve an algebra problem, or check a patient's chart, or just snap a photo with your phone, maybe you'll think about this legacy that's over 1,000 years old. From hospital wards to the maps that discovered new worlds, the impact of this golden age is hiding in plain sight all around us. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden histories are quietly shaping the technology, the science, and the culture that we take for granted every single day? Thanks for joining me.